Hey guys, welcome to the Afterwatch Party with
Stephanie and
Ryan, where you watch it and we review it.
You better get inside the Afterwatch Party.
Alright, so we are getting into Chapter 6 of American Horror Story.
The big twist episode.
The big twist. So, let me start off by saying that Angela Bassett directed this episode. I think she did a pretty great job. Not knowing a lot of her directing experience, I think she did pretty good. What do you think?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have no complaints as far as that goes. I think it's pretty good. What would you give the overall episode grade-wise?
If I were to give this episode a grade, I would probably give it maybe a B+.
I was gonna say maybe a B- or a C+.
Ooh, going a little bit lower. Yes.
A little bit lower.
So
it wasn't bad.
It wasn't my favorite episode of this season so far, but I did like how they changed it up. So
yeah, I'm interested to see where it goes. Like, I'm really excited.
Absolutely.
I could potentially love it, but this episode, like, parts of it were really, really good to me, and then parts of it were just like,
yes.
Meh.
Yeah, they're like, nah.
That's the only reason the grade's so low. If the highs would have been consistent throughout, then it would have been an A+.
Maybe the next episode will get you. Who knows?
Yeah, I'm super excited to find out.
Okay, so let's start from the beginning here. So we finally figure out what the big twist is. So Cheyenne Jackson is playing Sydney, the producer.
Yes,
so
Sydney.
We finally have a name for him.
And they say it plenty in this episode.
Oh, yes. Everyone's saying F you, Sydney, and we will...
Everybody hates Sydney.
They should have just renamed it Everybody Hates Sydney, just like Everybody Hates Chris.
Would have been so appropriate.
So Sydney's creating a follow-up series in Roanoke with found footage, hidden camera footage, in addition to the phones that are not activated, but they only use the cameras on the phones to help Sydney film what's happening in the house, which I think is kind of cheap on their end because they're making the actors film it too.
That's not the problem I have with it. My problem is it's supposed to be in today's day and age, alright? And they give them deactivated phones to use the cameras on?
Well, just because...
Why not just use a camera? They have slim cameras.
I mean, they
that, like,
do.
Bloggers and stuff use. So, like, why give a phone?
I guess that's a good point.
Because they made a specific point to, like, say, here, we got you all these phones. Oh, but they don't actually work, though. Just take
maybe
pictures of video.
Well, the only other thing that can work on them is an emergency phone call, right?
That's true.
Like, even if it is deactivated, maybe. So perhaps at some point that can play into what's happening.
Ooh, that's true.
I don't know.
It wouldn't be Shelby or Matt or Lee that would try to use it because they all know that the cops, like, don't give a crap.
Right.
But I feel like it would be one of their reenactors would probably be like, let's call the cops.
Well, maybe. All right, so we can, like, talk about this a little bit further on because there was a murder, but maybe they'll try and call because of that murder. But let's stop there for a second. All right, so let's stop there for 1 second, and then, all right, so let's get back to the beginning because we always sidetrack. All right, okay.
Like, the anticipation.
Okay, so the full title of the reality show that Roanoke now is Return to Roanoke 3 Days in Hell. Why is it only 3 days? Who knows?
Because the blood moon is 3 days.
Okay. Well, I thought it was like 6 days. So wouldn't they start in the beginning of it?
Yeah, they definitely start at the beginning of it because they get there the night before the blood moon.
Okay, so why are they only doing it for 3 days?
Maybe just for Hollywood reasons.
Well, no, because it's episodes 6, 7. Well, no.
8 and 9.
Yeah, so that's 4
but
technically.
Actually, that makes sense
right?
because what we saw wasn't one of the days. It was
yeah.
the night.
I suppose so.
So they could be counting the days, because, like, I know
okay.
when you go on a vacation or a cruise or whatever, if it says 4 days, 3 nights, or 4 nights, 3 days, or something like that. So, I don't think we've actually seen a day in hell yet.
Okay, yeah. That's fair. Alright.
So we can see. Maybe.
Yeah, so the premise of Return to Roanoke is having the actors from the reenactments and the talking heads live in the same house when the blood moon returns. So Big Brother style, as it was said, and with the hidden cameras and all that kind of stuff. So I think
because Sydney bought the house from Matt and Shelby.
Yeah, so
for 50 cents on the dollar.
Right. So
and he still paid way too much for that. I mean, Matt and Shelby should have just given that house away.
I mean, they're trying to make some money out of it.
That's true, because they had all their savings tied up in that.
So when we see Sydney talking to the other producers, the process follows setting up for production and wrangling the actors to come back to the house. So when we were talking about this last time, I had said that it looked like they were in a production office from that teaser, and it turns out that I was correct with that. So, I mean, I feel like it was kind of obvious, so it wasn't like, oh my god, I was right, you know? Like,
oh, wait. Matt and Shelby are, in fact, separated.
Yeah, well...
I knew it.
Hold on. Yeah, so, I was gonna get to that in 1 second.
Oh, gotcha.
So, yeah, I took, like, kind of meticulous notes just because. So, right after that, Cheyenne and Diana... We don't really know who Diana is. She's just with the production. They traveled to...
She seems to be some kind of, I want to say, like, set manager or something.
Yeah.
What's the technical
maybe
term
like a
for
production manager or production coordinator or something to that effect.
Because she's always carrying around her little clipboard thing.
Yeah, so... Sydney and Diana travel to... It's spelled OJAI, so that's like OG California, something like that.
That'd be my guess.
So that's 10 weeks before the blood moon. So they go to talk to Shelby to convince her to come back to the house. So this is when we find out that that we find out that Shelby and Matt are no longer together, because Shelby, she had a little fling with the fake Matt, which is
cheap imitation of her husband.
Cheap imitation, yeah. It's kind of strange. So Shelby and Matt thought doing the show would help their marriage, but when it actually did the opposite. So Shelby was like kind of like upset, distressed. So she was seen out with Dominic Banks, aka Cuba Gooding Jr., aka her husband's reenactment doppelganger. But it was just a weekend fling, according to Shelby.
Which is so weird to me. Like, I couldn't imagine like being in a committed relationship with someone and then like them not talking to me, so then I want to fake like a cheap imitation of them to have a weekend fling with.
Yeah, that's not really what my first thought would be.
Mad at him and like,
why would she want that person?
Didn't want anything to do with him? Why would she want somebody that reminds her of her husband? Like,
she's just being passive aggressive about it, I guess.
That's true. So many levels to that, I suppose.
So next is 2 weeks before the blood moon. So the prop guys are rigging the house so they can kind of like make the actors / the non-actors think that there are things like actually happening in the house, when in reality it's them like messing with everybody. So
like they rig the sink up. And
yeah, like
the drawers and the cupboards, right?
Right. Yeah.
the standard, like, what you see
ghostly
in
things.
reenactments on, like, any horror film, yeah.
Yeah,
like,
and...
the cupboards all open themselves and shake stuff, and...
Yeah, so in addition to those, to rigging the house, the one production guy, he made a fake video that was similar to the one that Elias had made, just to make it, like, even more, what's the term that I'm looking for? Just, like, make it more realistic that like, he was there too, and this happened to him as well.
Yeah,
so,
just to get them more freaked out, just, like, for the shock value, like, because Elias's video definitely, like, scared the crap out of them. Like, they were interested by it, but you could tell, like, the horror that they had, that somebody had documented the weird stuff, a historical account for what had happened in the house that they were in.
Right.
So I feel like it just plays back to that.
Yeah. So then, once everybody's back outside, someone from production found a circle full of fetal pigs behind one of the trees. So somebody is sending some sort of sign to the production that they're not welcomed. We're not sure who it is yet. I mean, everyone has a bunch of guesses that it's probably the butcher, but we don't know for sure. So,
yeah, there's
like, the actual butcher, not Kathy Bates. So, speaking of Kathy Bates, yeah, exactly. So we go into her talking head, and we find out that her name is Agnes Mary Winstead, aka the Butcher. So she says that this was the role of a lifetime, and that she felt a connection when she booked the part. So Agnes is a little bit obsessed with this role, as we've come to find out.
I think it's definitely, like, method acting. Is that what they call it?
Yeah. So it is method acting.
Try to submerge themselves.
Yeah,
into the
but she's,
character.
like, in way deep. So
yeah,
she...
Like, there's, like, no line between what is reality and what is fiction.
Yeah, because she was sent to a mental facility for 6 months. Basically, the role of the Butcher has taken control of her during certain moments in her actual life. So, real quick, to sidetrack. So, when they said mental facility, I thought of Asylum Connection, maybe?
Yeah, that's a good call.
Even though she wasn't in Asylum, I mean, there could be some kind of connection to that. I was like, maybe there's a chance.
Yeah. Again, there are usually not any coincidences.
Right.
In American Horror Story.
Right, yeah.
So we'll probably hear more about that.
Yes.
As this part of the season.
I'm hoping that I'm kind of right on that, because I would like to revisit Asylum.
Oh, definitely, because Asylum was my second favorite season. So.
Fair enough.
Totally cool with that.
Yeah. So, when I said that the role of the Butcher was taking control of her, I had said that because we see a video of Agnes walking around Hollywood streets swinging a meat cleaver, just being like...
she's having a meltdown.
Yeah, she's having a complete meltdown. She thinks that she is still the Butcher, and then she was diagnosed with schizoaffective disorder, as Sydney had said, and she also moved to a house that's only a couple miles away from the reenactment house in North Carolina. Mm-hmm. So these are just some super huge red flags. Like she's just not stable or in her right mind. And then Sydney gives Agnes a restraining order because he thinks she's too obsessed with the character. So he's trying to keep her away from the house, but also he hopes that it just brings her closer to the house.
Yeah, like for that drama.
For the show,
because
yeah.
He accuses her when she thinks she's being asked to be on the show, he accuses her about the fetal pigs.
Right, yeah. Yeah, so he showed her the fetal pigs, and she's like, What are you talking about?
This?
Like, yeah. I have no clue what you're talking or
and
what
can
you're saying.
Just talk about her different voices? Like for Agnes and then for the Butcher, I just love it. Like they're so different.
See, that's not something that I really noticed. What was her accent for the Butcher?
Because I feel like Agnes very much sounded like a sweet, innocent, classic, like, grandmother voice.
How Kathy Bates might actually sound in real life.
Yes, exactly. Okay. Like, very much looked and sounded like her whole demeanor changes when you see the episode that she had. Like, she is the Butcher.
Yeah.
But then, so I feel like they played that well. Like, she played that well. Because when she was just talking to him before he accused her of anything and, like, gave her the restraining order, her body language was different. Her voice was, like, so calm and soothing and, like, hypnotizing. Like, totally different. And I feel like that she plays really well for that because if she's been diagnosed with this schizophrenic, what did you call it? Schizoaffective disorder?
Yes.
With schizophrenic tendencies, isn't that what happens? Like,
I would think so, yeah.
Changes, something like that. I don't know too much about it, but I've heard, like, a person's entire demeanor changes, and she definitely
I would agree
really
with that.
Well. Yeah, so.
Okay.
Kathy Bates.
Yeah, so, so the last thing that we see with her as Agnes is her being furious when Sydney and Diana leave, and she starts to just go off on these chants as the Butcher, and it's just basically what Sydney wants, but it's also just really creepy.
Yeah, he was so happy, like, as he was walking away, he was like, what did he say? Did you write down what he said? I didn't
write down what he said, but he's just basically, like,
to the effect of, like, yes, this is so good, this is what we want.
Yeah, because he wants her to show up to the house, and she might possibly have shown up, but we'll get to that in a minute too. So once Sydney leaves the meeting with Agnes, we see Lee in a talking head sitting down with a reporter from E! News to talk about the new season. So she's basically coming back to the house because she doesn't want her name to be dragged through the mud based on Mason's death. So that's her sole reason of going back to the house, and she also just wants to be there for her brother, I'm assuming. Yes. And then we return to the Roanoke production office, but now we're in California. Or not California, sorry, North Carolina. So we are in North Carolina in the Roanoke production office, and I'm not sure of what his name is, but there's someone from production who is raising the concerns for the actress that Angela Bassett plays. As we come to find out, her name is Monet. So he's concerned because Monet has been in and out of treatment for alcohol abuse, and Monet blames that on Lee because she had to portray Lee. So she was basically getting herself into character because Lee was an alcoholic. Right, yeah. All of this method acting is just, it's making trouble for everybody.
And there's definitely a lot of tension between Lee and Monet.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Like, they make sure to let you know that neither one of them is fond of the other, because Lee is mad that everybody thinks she killed her husband because of the way that Monet portrayed her in the reenactments. And Monet is so mad at Lee because to get into character, she picked up the alcoholism.
Yeah. She decided to just binge drink.
It's like a classic catty, like, clique type fight, I feel like.
Sort of. So after they raise the concerns for Monet, we're back outside with the rest of the crew who is setting up for the production, and this crew member just shoves a saw through his body. Okay.
Which was so, like, I was shocked that happened.
Yeah.
Like, not super shocked, but I was like, oh, okay, they're gonna go there like that.
Yeah, so I like how we saw it, though, because this one, I'm assuming that he's a camera operator, because he was rigging
One of the hidden cameras up.
Yeah, so he was rigging a camera up to show that side of the house, and then we saw the guy shove the saw through him by the camera that he was rigging up. So, like, he didn't really see it happen, but we saw it happen because he had his back turned towards him. But I was thinking, like, one of the ghosts just had to do this to him.
I feel like I rewound it and I played it to watch that. The way that he saws himself doesn't look natural at all. So I definitely think it was a ghost.
It has to be one of the ghosts. Maybe it was one of the nurses, but I mean, we don't really know. I'm assuming just because, like, they were killing people. But
yeah, they kind of do their killing spree
I mean,
thing.
who actually knows about that one?
Mm-hmm.
And then Diana quits the show because Sydney wants to continue the production immediately after this crew member dies. So
because everybody's coming in within a few hours from the time that happens, so he's like, we don't have the time.
Yeah, and he's just kind of a douche. So he
like,
doesn't really care.
Tell he's money driven. He's
Absolutely.
like, no, there's no time.
Yeah,
everybody's gonna be
he just
here.
wants to, like,
an
get things going so quickly. Then once Diana quits, she goes to her car and she turns on I'm assuming it's a GoPro that's inside of her car, and I just wrote down the title card. It says 2:15 p.m. on Wednesday the 12th. So I guess we have the date. So she thinks that, like, something strange is going on for sure. She sees this ghost that looks like it could have been the first woman that was murdered. Was it Margaret? Was that her name? So it could have been the older woman, but they didn't really show this ghost's face. So this was the first, like, actual paranormal thing that she has physically seen. But she says that she has no intention on finding out who it is. And then Piggy comes from the back seat and just kills her.
Oh, see, I thought the first one she saw, I thought that was the real butcher.
You mean from her car when she was driving away?
Mm-hmm. I thought underneath the tree, I thought that was the real butcher.
The
way that she was dressed.
It could have been, but
maybe.
No one's...
But again, they don't show the face. But what I will say about when you saw her, like, whoever the woman is...
Yeah.
She looked creepy as crap. Like, definitely so much creepier than what the reenactment looked like. Like, so terrifying looking. Like, just dirty.
So, this could be, like somebody real.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
yeah, so, like,
real that's dead, obviously, but...
Yeah.
I mean, it could be the real butcher. We just don't know yet.
Either of them. Yeah, we'll have to see. Questions will be answered, I'm sure, next time. Yeah, Piggy pops up. Piggy looks so terrifying.
He's just pissed off, I guess, because they're still on the property.
The noise gets me, though. Like, talking about, I can hear the, like, squeal, I guess, the pig man makes. And it just, like, I don't think I could ever hear a pig again and not
think of that
in my head. Yes. Like, just imagine
I would
being
be the
in
same
your
way.
car, like, freaking out, like, I'm getting the crap out of here, like, forget all of you guys, and then you see a ghost, and then all of a sudden you hear a pig squealing in the back of your car,
yeah,
and then boom, you're dead.
It wouldn't really be my favorite noise, that's for sure.
No, that is not a good way to go.
So, once the pigman kills Diana, there's a title card that reads, "Footage from Diana Cross's camera was found 3 months later by police officers. Her body has not been found." So, yeah, they haven't found her body yet. It took them a while. So then, once that goes to commercial, we come back from commercial, and then we see Sarah Paulson, finally. So Sarah Paulson is the first one to give her confessional. So she's in this little booth. In this, it looks like kind of like 50s style clothing, right? Like 40s or 50s almost, maybe even 30s.
I feel like her character is like just very extravagant. Like I feel like it's probably like some vintage clothing.
It definitely is,
because she needs people to know that she's extravagant. That's kind of what I get from it.
That can be, yeah. So she plays Audrey Tyndale, who is British. May I add? Audrey is British. So one note that I have here, once they introduced Sarah Paulson's new characters, I loved how they had that little gag reel when Shelby, Matt, and Flora were following Edward like through the underground tunnel. They had like just like Audrey fall, and then they had her and Edward kind of like chit-chatting for a quick minute, and then Evan Peters had hit on Sarah Paulson's character, and then Evan Peters comes into the confessional, and then we find out that the two of them aren't engaged. So I was like, okay, that's kind of strange. Sarah Paulson and Evan Peters are engaged, and my one note for Evan Peters, who plays Rory Monahan, is that he looks like a douche.
And he sounds like an idiot, a total like
bright red hair.
Yeah, he's like very much a bro, I feel like.
Absolutely, and he just
plays a bro.
Yeah, he looks like the leprechaun from Lucky Charms.
Oh yeah, and it's like the way that he has it styled, it looks like he took a bunch of gel or whatever and just stuck his hands and pulled it up as straight as it would go. It's like so spiky. It's like
I'm not
Green Day, what is it, Simple Plan or whatever, where he had like the crazy spiky weird like grungy looking hair, I guess.
So I'm not a huge fan of Rory, to be honest. So
no, I was like, more Evan Peters, but yeah, I didn't really like him in that setting. Like, I don't like him playing that kind of person.
Yeah, wasn't a big fan either.
It might be because he's not played somebody like that before, so
that could be,
it's just a shock, and I wasn't expecting it. Because when you see Evan, you like almost expect something of him, and that is not it. So it totally rubbed me the wrong way. As soon as he started talking, I was like, oh no, he's gonna be really dumb. Why does he have to be really dumb?
I feel like I would agree with just him like not having that kind of character previously.
Yeah. And what's so funny is that he plays Edward Philip Mott in the reenactment, who talks so proper.
Yeah, and then this character is just all over the place.
And it's like total opposite. Oh my.
Maybe they felt like they had to do that. I don't know.
Maybe.
Also,
I could see that.
Also, this character is just not gay. And I was like, I guess.
And Edward was definitely, and I was totally cool with that.
As was I. So once we are introduced to Audrey and Rory, they show their extremely cheesy wedding video. And Chaz Bono is officiating their wedding.
Love it.
And yeah, so we see a little bit of that, and then Rory...
Wait, her vows are so proper. Can we talk about that? Like the standard lovey-dovey vows? Is that what you were going to say?
No, I was not going to say that.
Oh, because she does the whole, like, the standard, like, I'm going to love you forever, like that.
Naturally.
And then he just goes, I'm going to love the shit out of you, like, and stuff like that.
That's because he's a douche.
His little spiel, I kind of saw that as where it was going to go, but as he was saying it, I was just like cringing in my like blanket. I was just like, no, that's not good.
Nah, sorry, bro. So Rory tells Audrey that he wants to go back to LA to do this screen test for with Brad Pitt, yeah. And she doesn't really trust him going back to LA if she's not there with him. So she's not very trusting of him as a person.
I mean, how could you be?
I don't know. I mean, he seems like he's kind of all over the place. Audrey and Rory come down from their bedroom. They go into the kitchen, and then we see this shadow cross the kitchen window. And many people are theorizing that this is Jessica Lange's return, and she's going to be playing the real Butcher.
Which I would love that.
So I am all about this. I'm not entirely sure how true this is going to be, but during Kathy Bates' talking ahead as Agnes, they kind of foreshadowed Jessica Lange's return, because Agnes said that she's only taken 2 parts in her life. She's taken the role of the Butcher and the role of Mary Tyrone in A Long Day's Journey. And that's significant because Jessica Lange played this character on Broadway recently. So
wow.
It's like nothing is a coincidence, okay?
Yeah, nothing's a coincidence. So now I feel like it's definitely gonna be Jessica Lange, and I'm totally cool with it.
So this could be very clever foreshadowing, which I would love. So Jessica Lange might be returning, even though she said she wouldn't. And then right after we see the shadow, we see Agnes attacking Audrey at the kitchen window. So this is actually the second time that Agnes has tried to attack Audrey, and we find this out right after Sydney arrives at the house with Monet and Shelby, and we see another a title card on screen. It's March 20th, 2016. It's an emergency call with Audrey and a police officer. So Audrey's calling because she sees Agnes turning up to her house with a rather large knife. And then so she is on the phone with them for a few minutes, blah, blah, blah. She says that Agnes is trying to take her Saturn Award because she thinks that she should have won, and blah, blah. So that's the second time that Agnes has tried to attack Audrey. So I feel like Audrey's probably going to die soon.
Yeah. By the hand of Agnes. I feel like
most likely, or hopefully by the real Butcher, which is Jessica Lange. Hopefully.
Yeah, and she'll think that it's Agnes because of how insane Agnes is. Maybe
it'll be Thaisa Farmiga, but we'll get to those people that we haven't seen in a few minutes. So after this on-screen title card, we see Audrey and the real Shelby go back and forth, kind of like filler conversation. Then Lee and Matt get to the house. Everyone gets the deactivated phones to help the film crew, or to help the crew film. Mm-hmm. And then Sydney pairs everyone up with roomies. Matt and Shelby are paired. Matt isn't the biggest fan of this, obviously. And then Lee starts getting aggressive with Shelby because of her, quote, reckless bullshit. Mm-hmm. AKA the weekend fling. And
yes, with fake Matt.
I had one note in here I felt was kind of weird in my opinion, just of me like not noticing, but I didn't think that these three weren't like, they didn't really feel as connected until this very moment for me.
Oh yeah, definitely. It drove it home.
Because they've all been in the Talking Heads, and I was like, wait, like they actually feel like they're a family, just a dysfunctional family, but they are a family for sure. All right, so next, the blood moon is coming. So there's more title cards, and the first one says, over the next 3 days during the blood moon, every participant in the series died under mysterious circumstances except for one. Next card says, the show planned by producers never aired, but what we're watching is the assembled footage from what the cameras caught.
Which I like where that is going.
Yeah, so far so good.
So excited.
So a couple things that the assembled footage caught was the first thing was Audrey and Rory were having sex in the hot tub. And what I didn't notice at first was the colony is in the background of them in the hot tub.
I didn't even realize that.
So I was reading about that, and I was like, oh, you can see it in this picture that they have, that the colony was behind them. Like, it wasn't, like, candles around the hot tub. It was most definitely the colony, like, walking toward the house.
Oh, my gosh.
So
I definitely thought they were both going to die when it...
Look that up.
Like,
yeah, so did I.
Hot tub scene, I was like, okay, they're both going to die right now.
Yeah,
like, this is gonna be
because of the first hot tub incident, so that totally could have happened. So next is Monet being an alcoholic. Surprise, surprise. And then Mason's burnt body just crosses the camera, and he's going after Lee. So then Shelby is avoiding running into Lee, obvious reasons again. So she's trying to get down to see Matt in the basement, and she's just avoiding Lee because she's just walking around. And then Monet is blaming Lee for being an alcoholic. So that's when they get into their conversation about Monet portraying Lee.
And them just not liking each other at all.
Yeah, no, they're going at it. Next, Dominic shows up, and then him and Matt get into this huge fight. Very confrontational. And next, Audrey is showering, and then she sees Pigman in the mirror. So then...
And she gets so mad that she's naked and showering. Like, she's not mad that Pigman wasn't there. She's mad that somebody was watching her shower.
Well, she thought that Sydney, was being the Pigman, so she told Rory, and then Rory goes to check for this mystery person, and then that's when Rory gets murdered by the nurses. And
can we just talk about that when he's looking to go find Sydney? The way he psychs himself up every single time was so funny to me. Like, he's like...
Yeah, like...
and then, like, checks under the bed.
He was, like, getting ready to, like, open the
yeah, it's like when you, like, see people in movies in the mirror, like, you can do this. Like, you got, like, who are you talking to me? Like,
yeah,
does, like,
so...
that whole thing. He's psyching himself
He was just trying to, like, not get freaked out by everything. And then... when Rory gets murdered, Matt notices on the wall that murder is finally spelled out because of Rory.
Yes.
R is for Rory.
Those nurses looked so terrifying too.
Yeah, they look even worse than last time we saw them.
Like, I don't know, like just like classic horror film, like grungy hair.
Yeah, for sure.
Tattered clothing, so scary.
Yeah, so this is the end of this episode when Matt says to everybody R is for Rory, and then episode over. So my notes here, not as crazy as I thought it would be. I still enjoyed the last episode, meaning chapter 5, more, but I really like where they're taking it, for sure. The reality aspect. So, excuse me. I enjoy the premise of the reenactment actors living in the house with the other people who went through the nightmare already. So, I like it, but I don't. There's just some things
Yeah, it started out so high for me, and then just slowly it faded through the episode.
Yeah, but I am glad that everyone's realizing, like, how real the story is.
Yes, like, slowly.
Yeah, so
Slowly
the reenactment actors are now, like, realizing how much trouble they're actually in. So, no signs of Lady Gaga, Finn Wittrock, or Taissa Farmiga in this episode. Not that we've seen anyway. I don't believe that random ghost was Taissa Farmiga. I don't think she was credited in this episode.
I didn't notice.
But there's the theory that Finn Wittrock and Taissa Farmiga are playing the Polks. So this is a theory because Frances Conroy played she played Mama Mott, and Finn Wittrock is supposed to be playing a member of the Mott family. So this is like an extension from the Mott family. So Finn and Taissa could possibly be playing the Polks, but we don't know this yet. We haven't seen them. And then
at some point in it, doesn't somebody say, "Oh, nobody's seen them"? Oh no, wait, nobody's seen the Polks. I'm thinking the Polks. Nobody's seen the Polks in months or something.
I don't recall that one, to be honest.
Somebody said it, and when they were setting up when the production team was still there and it was focused on them.
Okay.
I feel like Diane made a comment to Sydney, and I think Sydney is the one who said it. They were like, "Oh no, nobody's seen that family for months," or something like that. Like they're off the face.
Then that could totally be them.
Yeah, so they're definitely gonna. As soon as I heard him say that, I was like, okay, so they're gonna have something to do with it, and I was almost expecting them to be in this past episode, but yeah, they weren't. So.
Yeah, I'm kind of glad that they weren't, just because there's gonna be like something new for the next episode, so like more to it. But there's also this theory that Finn will be playing the real ghost of Edward Philippe Mott, since he's part of the bloodline. So there's those two different theories about Finn Wittrock's character, which are not confirmed yet. So he can be playing either one of those, or maybe not either one. We don't know yet.
Oh, wait.
What?
We didn't see Lady Gaga.
No, we didn't. She was one of the actors that I mentioned.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
but
we haven't seen her in...
That's just hitting me more and more.
Past, 2 episodes, right?
The past 2 episodes, but she played in the reenactments. So is she just not... I'm curious to see how she ties back in, right?
Well, she did, kind of, but isn't she technically, like, an actual witch and not...
I thought so, but if you think about it, like, especially in the scenes with Matt... It was definitely Lady Gaga in the reenactments.
I suppose so. I didn't really think of that.
I'm so confused now.
So who's gonna be?
Now it's just hitting me. So why was she not asked back on the show?
Maybe she will be in the next episode. But then who would play her character? Like as?
That's what I was just thinking. I just put all these together because I just assumed, oh, she's gonna come back as Scat Hatch.
Well, hold on. Hold on.
She's in the reenactments.
Hold on. So, because last podcast I had mentioned that she's supposed to play 2 characters that we haven't seen yet in this season. So she's coming back at some point. We just don't know which character we're going to see next.
Right. Gotcha.
Or when we're going to see her next.
I'm just trying to put the pieces back together in my
head,
because I seriously didn't think about that.
I knew that we didn't. I knew that we didn't see her. I just didn't really like think about when we would see her next. You know. But it's a good point. So just to kind of finish my notes up real quick. So I'm mad that they still don't have an opening title sequence. I want an opening title sequence. We're never gonna get it though.
Yeah,
I feel like at this point it's kind of late.
Song is when they put the like warning for mature
audiences,
viewer discussion. Then you hear the song, and every time I get so excited, like, And then I'm like, oh wait, it's just the warning.
Yeah, so we're probably not gonna get an opening title sequence.
For that song, the title sequences are always so creepy and good.
I know.
And there's just none of that. It's just I mean, it looks cool, but it's just.
Yeah, so I feel like we're not gonna find out until like the very end, which one person will be the survivor. I'm kind of banking on the real Matt to be the survivor. I'm just gonna throw that out there.
Yeah, I could see that since he was the one that was most like. I feel like he doesn't. Shelby really wanted to be there to talk to Matt, but Matt just isn't interested in Shelby, and I think since he's the most uninterested one, that he'll be the one that survives.
I think he's just gonna survive because he knows how to, because they've been through it already, so he knows what he should be doing.
He was the super skeptic though in the beginning.
In the beginning, yeah, but once they went through it, I mean, he like realized how true this all was. Mm-hmm. I don't think Shelby is capable of staying alive.
I don't think
honestly.
So I wonder if we're gonna see Cricket.
I hope so.
I'd like to.
I would like to see him back as a ghost. Which I think Evan Peters will come back as a ghost.
I hope so because
he died way too quickly.
2 episodes and not even 2 full episodes with Edward Peters.
That's it.
Or Edward Peters. I'm just mixing all his names up. Evan Peters. 2 episodes with him is not enough.
No, so I think he'll be back as a ghost. Maybe he'll try and warn people that, you know, these situations are going to be coming up.
I think he's just going to try to have ghost sex with Audrey.
Could be that, too.
Because he's such a pro.
Probably that first, and then he might try and warn people.
He'll be like, wait, here, I've come to see you. Like, let's satisfy me, and then I'll help you out.
So, just to sum the rest of this up, Chapter 7 preview, we get more of the same, mainly because, you know, like we said, like, every person dies except one. So, they're going to die whether it's by actual ghost or Agnes pretending to be the butcher. Mm-hmm. So, everyone's going to die except one person. And, like I said, my money's on the real Matt. So I guess we'll just have to watch this next episode and see what happens.
Mm-hmm. And I noticed that Elodie Keene is directing the next episode, but she's never worked on American Horror Story that I can find.
Who's directing it?
Elodie Keene. So I think it's interesting that they're bringing on, like, she's never worked on it before.
What else has she worked on?
She has worked on... Get back to her a little
like bit. Any other kind of horror stuff or
let's see, she is known for ER, NYPD Blue, The Practice, Charmed, Felicity, The Wire, House, Nip Tuck, The Closer.
Okay, so maybe Ryan Murphy grabbed her from Nip Tuck because that was one of his other shows, and he's like, oh, she directed this great episode.
Yeah. So
I don't know.
Maybe
it could totally be that.
True.
Interesting. All right. Well, either way, I'm looking forward to what's coming up in Chapter 7 of American Horror Story Roanoke.
Awesome.
Well, return to Roanoke anyway.
3 days in hell, the first day.
Looking forward to it. So we will see what's coming up on the next episode. So guys, that's all that we have for this episode of the After Watch Party. Thank you so much for listening.
Yes, thank you all so much.
And remember, the After Watch Party never sleeps.
Don't forget to check out our website at theafterwatchparty.com to see what we put inside your goodie bags this week. See you at the next After Watch Party.